Hello everyone, welcome to this session. Our chapter is transportation of materials in living things, and today let's see the various laws of the transportation of materials in living things. So here specifically we'll be talking about the various laws of various transporting processes. Here talking about the osmosis and diffusion in living things. So let's see these laws of these processes towards the transportation of various materials in living things. We'll start with the first one, that is the laws of diffusion in living things. Materials first, they are just transported in the body systems of living things from the area where they are abundant to areas where they are less abundant. And this process or this kind of mechanism of transportation uh, uh, in these animals is what is termed as the diffusion. So you can note that the first law of diffusion that helps to the transportation of the materials that are required for the body systems of living things are from areas where they are abundant. Here we're talking about the places where they are adequate to places where they are less adequate. So that's the first law of the diffusion. The second one is that we have to note that diffusion, it occurs in exchange of the gases like oxygen or carbon dioxide during the respiration in animals and the plants. So diffusion is crucial for the processes of gaseous exchange in uh, in these living things during the process of respiration. So there you have it. These are just the two of the laws of the diffusion in living things. Also, diffusion also takes place during the distribution of the nutrients and the digested foods in the living organisms. So this is the other crucial role of the diffusion. It is crucial when the process of distribution of nutrients and the digestion of foods takes place in living organisms. Now let's move on to the laws of the osmosis in living things. We'll discuss them as outlined below. The first one, that during through the process of the osmosis, the nutrients, they get transported to the cells and the waste materials, they get removed out of them. So the first law of osmosis, yes, is crucial for the transportation of the nutrients required for the body systems to go into the body and just to excrete the waste materials from the bodies. The second one, that the pressure within and outside each cell is maintained by the osmosis. As this process, it ensures a balance of fluid volume on the both sides of the cell wall. We are talking about the outside of the cell wall and the inside of the cell wall. So the osmosis process is crucial for the maintenance of the pressure within and outside of the cell, as it is maintained by this process to ensure that there is balance of the fluid volume on these both sides of the cell wall. Explained as follows, that if fluid volume within a cell is more than the fluid volume outside of it, such pressure would lead the cell to become tugged and explode. So the osmosis is there just to balance it out. And also, on the contrary, if the fluid volume outside the cell is more than the fluid volume within, such pressure would lead the cell to cave in. So also the osmosis is there to avoid this kind of situation. Both cases would be detrimental to normal and healthy cellular functions. So this osmosis just there just to balance and to ensure that this health cellular functions of the cell of the that kind of organism. The other role of the osmosis, it is via osmosis only that the roots of the plants are able to absorb the moisture from the soil and they transport it upwards towards the leaves to carry out the photosynthesis process. So the photosynthesis process, it can't be carried out without the process of osmosis, as osmosis is there just to ensure that the roots of the plants are just able to absorb the moisture from the soil and be able to transport that kind of nutrients, that kind of moisture upwards towards the leaves just to carry out the photosynthesis process. Plants, they wouldn't exist without the osmosis process, and without plants, yes, no other life could exist, as they are vital link of the entire food chain of the planet. We've already talked about the food chain in the other sessions. So the plants are very crucial for the existence of life, and osmosis is part of the existence of the plants. So without osmosis, plants, they could not exist, and that will lead to the other lives to not exist on the planet. The other role of the osmosis, without osmosis, that it would be impossible for our bodies to separate and expel the toxic waste and keep the bloodstream free from impurities. So the bloodstream is kept free from various impurities by the process of osmosis, as it enables the bodies to separate and expel the toxic waste that they can be found within these blood streams. The process of the blood purifications is carried out by the kidneys, which they isolate the impurities in the form of the urine, and that way the impurities are just removed from the body. So therefore, the role of osmosis is just to fold it up. We can say that it helps to maintain a stable internal environment in a living organism by keeping the pressure of the intercellular and the intracellular fluids balanced. Also, it allows the absorption of the nutrients and the expulsion of the waste from the various body organs on the cellular level. So these just two are the most essential functions that a living organisms they cannot do without, and they cannot survive without it. These two processes just to be carried out. So that's all I have for this session. I hope that's all clear, guys. We discussed the roles of the osmosis and the diffusion in the transportation of various materials in living things. I hope that's clear, and thank you.